questions. Series of theories, series of theories. Asking all the big questions.
Hey up lads, I've had an idea about the podcast.
Series of theories. Asking all the big questions. Series of theories, series of theories. Asking all the big questions. Series of theories, series of theories.
Hello and welcome to Series of Theories podcast, the podcast where we ask the big questions. Today's big question, Sam, what have we got, mate?
Has sport lost its tegrity? Slash integrity.
For all our South Park fans out there, that was for you. So guys, have you watched many sporting events recently? You're playing sport again now, which is amazing.
I'm not.
Yeah. Bloody hell, mate, you could have surprised me there. It looks like you've been repping it out.
No, it's just fat.
Yeah. So, have you been watching the sport? Have you been keeping up with what's been going off?
Yeah, and there's obviously a very big one that we're going to mention.
Yeah,
100%.
What's led to this, I wonder?
What? So let's go football.
Yeah,
Let's go down that path. What are you feeling towards this brand new Super League that they've been discussing? Where are you at with it?
Yeah.
Your initial feeling, because I was gobsmacked, to be honest,
when it got first announced.
Yeah, the first announcement, I thought it's some April Fool's kind of thing. That's what entered my head. This is a joke?
Yeah.
And then I saw BBC coming out with it, and all the sort of mainstream newses, and I went, here we go. This is something new. And do you know what? To an extent, I thrive in weird. When something that's going to affect us for a long time happens, my sort of alarms come and I go, yeah, what's this? I want to know what's going off. So where were you both at with it?
When I first heard it, because I heard about it a few months ago, like getting mooted around, I never really read into what it was when they were talking about this Super League thing, and I was like, whatever, it probably won't happen. It's just one of these things they talk about again in football. And then the announcement just came out of the blue, didn't it? I think it caught everyone off guard. It caught fans, players, managers, everyone involved apart from the owners. It caught them off guard, and at first I kind of had to read into it, go, what is this exactly? And then I read it and I was like, this is a stupid idea.
Were you just laughing?
I was laughing.
Disbelief.
And then the next thing very shortly after came out was the Premier League and UEFA and FIFA saying we're not going to let this stand. And then you had all the concern of what's going to happen next, because I'm a Liverpool fan, you probably know if you've watched these before.
They got some booting, didn't they?
Josh's United. It got concerning at a point for me. But then I was on the side of, but if this has to happen, if we have to get kicked out of the Premier, we have to get kicked out of UEFA because we've done this stupid thing, so be it. Like,
would you have stayed with them?
It's a tricky one. Like if it had led to us basically ruining the club and the owners staying and all that, no.
Because
adopt another Prem team,
if
they got kicked out of the Premier League.
Probably.
God, that must have been so hard for you.
Or maybe even just a lower league team and just kind of
follow Forest,
get out of it completely and no.
Man, I felt for people then. I really did. There was on Lad Bible or so, and I'm looking at all these Liverpool fans just heartbroken and just saying we're really sorry for the club's actions on threads, and completely having to reevaluate what they're going to do, because you contribute and you spend a lot of your life and time and effort into supporting a club. It's a part of you, isn't it?
I mean, the funny thing with that, it's now gone back the other way. Now all the clubs have withdrawn from it.
I said sorry.
We're sorry.
We're sorry.
But the fans are still out protesting. Like, I think, was it Chelsea we played yesterday? Like, the fans were still protesting outside the stadium even a few days after it had been renounced that it was going to happen. So they've realised it's like, not only do we not want that, we want the owners gone.
We want our teams back.
It was Arsenal, not Chelsea.
It was Arsenal,
because it was the American owners that they didn't want.
Because then they had Robbie on TalkSport, didn't they? Ray Parlour was Ray Parlour, wasn't it? Yeah, trying to give him loads of shit for AFTV. I was we're not talking about this. We're talking about the club, and that was a weird interview. If you've not seen that,
no, I've not seen that.
Yeah, they got Robbie on TalkSport, and he just literally laid into him. And it's like,
really?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. If Robbie held his own very well.
Oh, good. I can imagine he would.
He did well, Ray Parlour looked like an idiot.
Does Ray Parlour not like AFTV at all?
No, he says, I think you prefer it when they lose. I think you prefer it because you get more money, you get more hits if the team lose. So you talk about the point he was making was you talk about the ownership and they just care about the money. Well, you prefer it when we lose because more people watch your thing. He's like, no, he goes, I watch the team every week. He goes, I want them to win. He's like, I'm a fan. I want them to win games.
If you look at their reactions,
TalkSport get more views if people lose. They want to hear people angry. Like it's just the nature of it. Like people,
it's the nature of people, isn't it?
So yeah, it was a ridiculous interview, that one.
Because there's nothing funnier, is there, than when you've been to a match and then you're stuck in the traffic on the way home. You've got TalkSport on talking about the match, and people are just screaming down the line. I don't want to hear, yeah, mate, so we played quite well today. It's a shame they took him off at this time, but you know, and you think, I just want to hear people going, why was he on the effing pitch? What's been going on?
It's the deluded fans that make TalkSport funny.
I literally get a buzz in it. How long do you think they'd been coming up with this master plan? Is this sort of under the wraps for a long time, and then they were going to announce it?
You've seen the picture that came out? There was a picture that came out from, I think it was 2-3 years ago. They're all sat in a restaurant. All the owners. There's Ed Woodward. There's Henry. There's the Glazers. Yeah, there's.
Because I mean, right? I believe he was there. We're a bunch of mates now. I've spent a lot of time with you. Really. Yeah. Start tipping the place upside down. It was all a lie.
No, don't put a label on this.
I feel if us lot went out for a night and we had some teams or whatever it was, even we're discussing our teams, you're Liverpool, you're United, I'm Arsenal, we might get a bit drunk at some point and go, do you know what, it'd be dead sick if we were in the league with Barcelona, Real Madrid, and we're playing weekly. Could you imagine what that'd do? But you leave it around the drunk dinner table, don't you, where you go, that was a silly chat, wasn't it? What we were on about. But to actualise that, it doesn't seem like they thought of any steps behind it of what this could affect, and the people like who can't afford to go and see the teams anymore and can't afford to actually be a part of football.
But that's the danger of money, isn't it? Because these people are that powerful and that rich that they can do these crazy things that you could come up with around the pub table. Like most people, these ideas will never come to fruition, but they can go, you know what, let's give it a go, let's see what happens. And they've done it. And I mean, you've got to kind of look at it as football's been going this way,
demise,
and the money's been in football. I mean, I was born in '92, so the Premier League started. That was the year Premier League started, wasn't it? '92. Yeah. So that started with Sky, started with big money coming in there, didn't it? That it kind of led to the increase in the game being more about money, let's say, rather than being about the fan.
It sort of Man City, really?
Well, that was later on, wasn't it? Because at that point, City were no one, were they?
Yeah, that was me as a young person reflecting. I always just remember Robinho coming over to the Premier League, and it was the most anybody had ever spent on a player before. But that's where I reflect to. But yeah, it's been creeping, hasn't it, through time? Slowly,
and then
again,
all of a sudden.
It depends how far back you go. Because I remember when Man U signed Rio Ferdinand in, like, was it 2002 for 30 million?
Okay,
and people are like, no one's ever... That was the going rate for, say, Zidane at the time. Like, people weren't paying 30 million for anyone, never mind a 20-year-old centre-back.
Only me on LMA Manager 2001. They were acting like me there.
Pretty much. And so, like, people were slating United for doing it.
Yeah.
But then they were making all of that money through football. They were selling shirts like they were the biggest global brand in the world at that point. But then Chelsea come along and they do the same thing, but they get all their money from an outside owner. And that's when they bought Shevchenko and Deco and a few more like quality players.
That was a good era, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
They had
I
a
enjoyed
great
that.
squad then, to be fair.
They did.
I hate Chelsea, but...
That's why I hate them, because they were so good at the time, but did that not inflate everything? And cause a lot of the greed
that was before City, really before City had built what they built now.
Yeah.
It was kind of, they were the precursor, weren't they? They were kind of like the one to dip their toes into it. And yeah, it seems to have got to the point where it's just gone... It's run away. I think the money that's come in. The big issue we have a lot, is the money that's coming through streaming, through BT, through Sky, through that. Like, that has helped a lot of football. It's helped a lot of, and you could argue that because that's gone trickled down to the grassroots, and in general, it's helped the infrastructure in this country. It's helped football in this country, hasn't it? But then, to what detriment of the game itself is the other question. Well,
with all the inflations in money, the only people that get burned by that end up being the fans, because if the investment companies are saying, right, I want to spend all this money on a player, they're still seeing it as an investment. Ultimately, they're going to want to get that money back one way or another, whether it's by selling the player on for more money, or whether it's going to be TV rights or
the fans
tickets.
can be.
So ticket prices end up going up.
Yeah.
And now people can't go to watch games.
Yeah.
Because what isn't the lowest price at the Emirates like 90 quid a ticket or something?
Their season tickets are really
sometimes the reason of the inflation and why they can do that investment is because the fans will buy all the merch and the fans will participate in that. So they're thinking, what's this going to bring to our club? A shitload more money.
Yeah.
So a part of the problem is sort of a snake biting its own tail, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because young people are going to cooperate with it, and then it keeps going on this vicious cycle. And there are, clubs in Germany I've heard of that boycotted, and it didn't take long for the clubs to go, right, bad decision,
Yeah.
plummet all the prices again, remember what football actually is, and it's the fans game, it's the fans
different
sport.
countries are different, aren't they? Because this country the owners have got too much control.
Yeah.
The owners in this country have literally got they can decide what happens. They've gone, well, we'll raise season ticket prices, we'll raise these prices, we'll put in this thing here, we'll do this thing there. The way it works in Germany is they've got 50 plus one, haven't they? The shareholder thing where they have to hold a majority for the fan. I think the membership clubs, aren't they? Fan membership clubs have to hold a 50 plus 1 percent or whatever it is share. Majority in the shares. So they have the final say on these things. And in that situation, you can see how it never got through, because the fans in this country would have been the same. If we had that set up, it wouldn't have even got past the first bit, because they're just not going to do it.
I think I'm going to say something controversial.
Go on then.
Here we go, Mikey for a first. Burn him. I would have liked it to happen.
Really?
Honestly, I would have liked it to happen, because I think it would have been so obvious and so overt how terrible football's become and contrived and money related that the grassroots would have been, and is being. I've seen lots of people start going to Saturday, Sunday League games now just to watch a bit of football properly, because they go, do you know what? This is ridiculous now. This is actually way past the point of return. We can't save football anymore. It's done. There's all these, it's a rich man's game. There's probably people who are making 30, 40, 50 grand a year going, oh, man, I get to go to Madrid on the weekend now. I get to go to Barcelona and watch all these games with Messi playing against whoever. But it's a working man's sport. It's what they're the people that built this to what it is. And the fact they've done a massive middle finger to the whole of these fans, I've just gone, do you know what? Let football destroy itself in its own ego of all these rich people. I don't want to just get rid of the history of it all, but what it's become, allow it to do it and see it go back down into, because working class people aren't just going to sit there and go, I don't do football anymore, can't do it. They make another route, they make an alternative, and something comes and breeds from it. If they're going to do that, I'll do this. And that was me at school.
I think, like you say, that would have been interesting. I just see it's a bit destructive, because I think the fact that they've tried to do it anyway has kicked up a big amount of fuss for a lot of fans. And it's now going to, I think we're in this position now, we're recording this a week after they announced it, aren't we? Like, we've had the week where they've gone and it's decided it's not happened, and now we're here. But I think it'll be interesting going forwards to see what impact the fan protests and what impact the big noise it's caused will have on the actual landscape of football in general, because at the moment, let's say there's too much control. There needs to be something. I think there needs to be regulation. I think there needs to be a regulator that regulates football just in general, because it's a wild west at the moment. Like, you can do whatever you want.
But all the regulatory bodies end up being more corrupt than the last one.
This is the thing. It's how do you do it? Like, how do you regulate?
I just don't know if it's yet created enough noise, because it was on that sort of will it, won't it? Oh, it hasn't. People still feel settled now. Oh, it's going to settle. The dust will settle, and it will go back to being what it was. And honestly, as a massive football fan, I love football. For the last few years, I just haven't. It's too obvious what money's done to it, what technology's been doing to it, and it just feels like nobody's bothered. There's no passion involved in many games that I watch anymore, because they've got the paychecks, they've got a happy, fine life with the Ferraris and so on, I don't see anybody like the Vieira days or back before that, where, you know, United, Arsenal or so on, it meant something.
Yeah.
It was a massive... If we lose this game to our rivals, this is disgusting. We should go off this pitch crying. And now they're all cuddling, high-fiving.
Yeah.
Oh, see you next week at this game anyway. Money's got to have been a massive part of that hindrance.
Yeah.
It's got to have been.
And how are you going to get that out now? That's the thing as well. Like, but when we're talking about the Super League, you've got UEFA who aren't saints either, haven't we? I mean, look at the Champions League, they pushed through alongside it or just under the carpet around what's been going on. Like, it's now, was it rather than 6 games, you play 10 games. You only play one leg though, I've heard. In this new one,
right.
You play one leg. You don't play away and at home like in the groups in Champions League.
It's like, we'll get the map, we'll work out in between where everyone can come, and then we'll just play in this.
They're doing
perfect.
it for money again, aren't they? They're going, we can put more games on telly, put more games on TV, and lo and behold, more money comes in. So.
I was just going to say, I thought UEFA's response to it was pretty awful as well, because it was, and the FA and all of the other football associations, because they only really stepped in when they realised that they were going to lose money. Before that,
yeah, they didn't give a shit.
Yeah, they wouldn't have given a shit. And there's loads of other issues that people are talking about, like racism.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That UEFA are just kind of brushing under the carpet, and yet as soon as someone tries to take their finances away from them and actually rivals them for something, because they do have the monopoly at the end of the day, don't they?
Yeah.
There's no other regular, well, other than FIFA, but it comes under the same umbrella, isn't it?
FIFA.
So, yeah.
I do. I would have liked to have just seen what happened post that decision and what it is going to do to all the English football leagues and, well, all football leagues. I do. The German league were the first to say not a chance, weren't they? I think.
Yeah. Well, because of the fan ownership.
But
kind of thing, like, it's not going to pass.
PSG actually said no.
They were quick to it, weren't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
They don't need any more money.
I applaud the teams that do that. It was just let's think of that league for a second. It's going to be so dry.
It'll be boring as fuck.
Do you know what I mean? There's no relegation.
No.
That's half of the fun of football.
You lose a few games, you've got nothing to play for.
Absolutely. We're down. The ones.
now.
How many teams were going to be in it? I can't.
12.
12.
Yeah.
So the ones that are like 9th, 8th, and 12. It's just, what is this game?
Yeah.
12 play 9th. Oh, brilliant.
Essentially chucking a midweek friendly in.
Yeah,
really.
it will become that, and then they become exhibition games because the football, like this. Let's go to the world. When you're working in a job where you've got no worth in it, you don't put in that effort, do you? You've got no passion, you don't put in that effort. So that is exactly what we're going to see on the pitch when the players are going, I'm getting X amount of millions a week. I'm going to start doing kicky ups on the sideline. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. They're going to find it absolutely fine. But it is ultimately, again, the fans, the people paying in, watching it on the weekly, who are going to be losing from this. It was a lose-lose situation
And you know
in everyone's term.
You know there'd be some kind of mess up with the broadcasting rights as well. So they would either sell it to they'd either sell it to the highest bidder, which would either be Sky, or they'd probably bring in, knowing them, they'd probably bring in their own kind of pay-per-view thing, or try and run it alongside Amazon or someone like that, so that you end up having to pay an extra subscription just to watch the ESL. You could definitely see that happening. But I read something this morning.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it, but Florentino Perez still reckons it's going to happen. Because
just a picture of him with his thumbs up.
Yeah.
Working on it, boys.
He said that all the owners have signed contracts, and the contracts are legally binding, and they're not actually going to be able to get
Could
out.
you imagine watching a game where they're forced to play on the... They've got like a shackle on the side of the leg. You're on there like...
They're on tag.
Literally electrocutes them to death if they try and go off the pitch.
Barricade them on.
Kick the ball at that goal. Dude, it was just a terrible decision, but I honestly think it exposed what's been known for a long time is money is ruining the perfect game. And it's done it for such a while, and when this comes out and happens, I don't know why everyone was so shocked. It's like, of course, what they've done mathematically is work out how can we possibly make the most possible money. Right, well, let's work this then, let's try that. It was an obvious choice for me, and I'm just really hoping that through this, it's going to expose other parts of the game where we're failing. Because I'm with you, I don't think there is a massive way back round to what we've had before. Because then the players aren't going to start wanting to half the wages, are they, anymore? Or
I think maybe the way... A starting point for it would
get rid of technology.
Yeah, maybe.
Get rid of technology.
VAR.
Just
I
have goal line and that's it.
Yeah, I think to bring in that kind of shareholder rule like what they've got in Germany, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Obviously, the clubs won't agree to it because it means they'll lose out on money. But if that rule ever came in, and ultimately the English FA won't agree to it because the English FA are probably the most corrupt one in Europe. But if they brought in that 50+1 system, whatever you'd call it, I do think that would mean that the fans' voices will get heard a lot more as opposed to just the money grabbers.
In my head, I'm just like, we've got to start sport again in every which way.
Reset.
Do a big reset.
Cancel the leagues.
Get everyone through it and go, right, you're paying on an average person's wage now. That's what we're doing for. Because, you know, we've said sport at the start of this podcast. I'm watching boxing now, I'm watching MMA, it's just tainted, and they're doing it so obvious. We said it before the podcast, but it's a big middle finger up and just going, give me your money. Give me all your money. That to support anybody, be it MMA, be it football, be it whatever. They've added it up through the year of what it's going to cost you with the box office, with X, Y, and Z. To be a fan of sport, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's really expensive. And they're just going, but you're going to pay it because you want it. And honestly, I think if it was, I don't think it'll ever be boycotted. People are too into it now.
Yeah,
they're into the realm of it. But just speaking in hypothetics, if we imagine it was... I'd still go and watch boxing at an amateur level. I'd still watch it on my TV. If it was Tyson Fury, I think he'd fight for a couple of thousand. Do you know what I mean? I'd see him get on it in a ring, and he'd do it because he looks passionate. He wants to be in that ring. It doesn't look like money to him. And I'd love to watch footballers like that again, where it doesn't... When I'm watching it, it doesn't seem like they're operating on money.
Watch the lower leagues then.
Yeah, I do. You know,
pretty much what it is, really. Isn't
it?
Another thing. I know some leagues have it where you've got to have a certain amount. I mean, there is one in England, isn't there, where you've got to have a certain amount of homegrown players per squad.
Yeah.
Surely, then, if you're doing that, the players, if they brought up through the academy system and they're playing for that club, surely they're going to have more passion than just the mercenaries that they're bringing in from abroad and paying them silly money.
I'll throw this out there. I've started watching women's football.
Have you?
Bloody love it.
Yeah.
I really love it. It's very tenacious.
Yeah.
And anything can happen. And I'm quite into a little...
Yeah, it's quite unpredictable, isn't
it? 6-4 now and then, or a 9-2. Here we go. Oh... It's gone through an arm. So, sorry, you're very talented, everyone. But it genuinely feeds my soul more than what modern day men's football has done. And that's just my truth. 100%.
It's more pure. Again,
it feels like they're in there to...
Yeah, well, the money's
win.
not in there, is it? Like, this is the thing, like... We could probably get into it, but obviously the women trying to call for equal wages. If anything, they should be calling for the men to get paid less.
Yeah,
because that seems to have caused a big problem in football.
Because what is football? It's entertainment. That is what we're watching it within, and I am certainly not being entertained anymore. Honestly, the last 10 games I've watched, I watch it with my dad, and half time we've looked at each other and said, "Should we turn it off now?"
Really?
If there's been a shite decision. VAR's been called up again.
Yeah.
Something daft. Somebody's been sent off, like the flick of the eye or whatever it was.
You see the red card yesterday where he kicked the ball and he got
dude. I promise you, I'm not making any of this up. We turn it off. I just can't do it anymore.
No.
Yeah, I think I will get into this though as well. And we're probably going to do a YouTube. Should people in YouTube be fighting actual fighters? But I stayed up to watch the Jake Paul fight, and that is the biggest fuck you to sports fans I have ever witnessed in my life.
I would have felt the same if I'd have stayed.
I felt sick.
Yeah.
I felt genuinely angry. I went to bed and I couldn't sleep. I'm being honest. I was lay there just thinking, I've just spent my whole night on that. I didn't pay for it, but
You'd have been more pissed off.
I mean, that would have been. I'm a thread away from going off the banister.
Yeah.
But genuinely,
Ofcom for your money back.
I know it wasn't a boxing event. It was an own specialist thing, whatever they try and say they call it, event. But to me, what it represented and what it showed, and the people watching that, Jake Paul's fans, they're going to be 14, 15, 16 max. So when they're getting an idea and building up what boxing is, God, the numbers are going to totally diminish towards boxing for me. It's warping it, because when they watch a boxing fight, which is all about respect, all about discipline, about building yourself and building a story of why this guy's becoming the best, is he's fought him and he's been through adversity, he's lost to him, and he's got this belt to work for. Now it was just a guy rapping, going, fuck my slut bitch, fuck my wife, and then another guy everyone came on with like thongs on, dancing around. Snoop Dogg's, I like Snoop Dogg. It doesn't need to be incorporated together, but then he's just got shouting, give me my 2 milli, give me my money, give it, and it was all money, drugs, sex, and I just went, well, this is disgusting, and I'm not a Puritan, but this is mental.
But like you say, isn't it, like this now, people, so kids watching it are going to think this is what boxing is. They're going to think this is what
I'm explaining. This is what sport is becoming. Yeah. This big dangling dollar sign.
But then in a lot of inner cities, they're actually trying to use boxing as a way to get people out of gangs and away from drugs and away from that sort of lifestyle.
It back together again.
Do it around here. There's a lot of people being funded within boxing communities to help get people off the streets.
There's that one near me that Prince Harry visits every now and then, because he loves St Anne's for some reason.
Okay.
It's like,
But he must have had a mad party there one night.
He'll be above that boxing gym. That'll be it.
But the recent events I've watched, it's been a long. Last night was probably the first time, which was the UFC, where I felt tantalised. And
I was going to say, like, because this is what we had a chat the other day, didn't we, about it, where you've got to look, the next big fighting event, is it anything like the Jake Paul one in terms of entertainment, in terms of what it is, or is it back to what you wanted it to be? Is there still the kind of pure side of it, that the fighting side of it, the original side? Was it still there, or was yesterday was it like the Jake Paul thing?
All about skill set and how powerful that art and discipline is. And that's what I witnessed last night.
So with the UFC fighters, they only, unless you're Conor McGregor or someone like that, they only get a certain amount per fight, don't they?
I was just going to say, they're making so much less money though.
Yeah.
All of them.
I mean,
Ben Askren's made double what most of them would have made last night.
Yeah. And obviously there's a lot
simple equation.
There's a lot of other issues and money in MMA that we could talk about.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the fighters are still doing it for the passion.
Yeah.
Because they know that if they went into another combat sport, they would earn shitloads more, but they're just not doing that because they'd rather do MMA.
You can sense authenticity, can't you?
Yeah.
When somebody's being genuine, and when the fighters come on and give press conferences, they would get there and go, listen, I love fighting. If I made ends meet by fighting for my life, this is what I want to do, because I absolutely adore the sport. I adore being a part of something so ancestral, do you know what I mean? It's part of my nature. So they talk in such a way where you go, I feel that he means he wants this. So McGregor, he went and lost himself through money, but realised he had an urge to be in the cage. Can't get away from it because it's the passion driven, but the money made him lose himself for a while, and you can see it quite well in his skill set now.
Well, the thing I think of quite a lot is, do you think there's an argument for having like a wage cap, salary cap kind of thing for the actual league who does it, or the sport itself, but you can still pick up as much as you want off sponsorship from alongside it, like from the side you can still get as much individually sponsorship wise as you want?
Well, that's how football used to be.
Well, that makes you strive surely to be the best, because then you're the best, you get more money.
But more and more clubs started, I know Man U did it with Wayne Rooney because he got that massive paycheck of like 300 grand a week.
I remember that.
But it turned out the reason why he got that is because he sold all his image rights to the club as well.
Okay.
So because of that, he got a massive paycheck. But then whenever he did a Pepsi commercial or like a Nike Boots commercial, like Man U would have got the money for it.
Right. Okay.
That's the other thing though. Now, like, image rights are a massive minefield to get into. Because they did it. It was, I think it was, like you say, around that time when they got literally lots of clubs were saying we own the image rights for players.
Yeah.
I think it's still like that, and that's mad to think of. Like your employer owns your image rights. Like, why is that a thing?
I can only vision this in again a South Park episode, but you know the Walmart when they're all like, we're never going to go to the Walmart again, burn it down. Next week they build it up again and everyone's back in it. It's just, that's what it's going to be, because we all talk this talk, we know how silly it is, but if you boycott it, you know it's just going to exist. It's going to keep on being there. There's always going to be a demand. So I suppose capping wages, capping how much structures and businesses can make, it seems to make sense, because it's been a knock-on effect for everybody involved. If the only outcome is, let's see how much they can squeeze to the last penny here and how much they can squeeze, and it's then the ticket prices, and then everybody, it's only the top that are benefiting from that because they're the ones not being affected by anything, essentially. People all along the way have got, there's going to be a knock-on effect.
Game's gone.
I hate it.
Game's gone.
So, okay, we'll conclude a little. Super League, the worst idea ever, or do you think, imagine if it had ever happened, would you have liked to have seen it?
I don't actually think it's a worse idea than the World Cup taking place in Qatar.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's probably. I think that's probably just as bad an idea.
God, I saw some.
But probably more detrimental to football.
More detrimental to football.
But not to people dying.
Did you see the amount of deaths in that?
Abuse of human rights.
Dude, I couldn't believe the statistics.
It's mad.
We need to rush to get all these stadiums up and running, and it's thousands and thousands of deaths.
Of migrant labour as well, most of it.
Wow. This is a crime against humanity.
And UEFA and FIFA are okay with that.
Yeah.
But as soon as someone else wants to start a new league that freezes them out of money, it's like we're waving the pitchforks.
We're all being made mugs. Just making mugs.
The fans are the losers of the whole thing.
Right, the whole thing stinks.
Yeah.
But they're just telling us what to get pissed off about.
I'm going to do my own again, conscious watching and being on my conscience, that's the better word. Because last night, for me, I watched all the pre-interviews, what do you call them? The
press conference.
And again, it was the build-up, and it was just a bunch of people coming together, being passionate, and I thought, do you know what? I can give you my money. I feel clean in this because I'm watching the best of the best try and be the best and beat the best. That feels great. But when I've watched
like bars they did
the best of the best beating the best but any other sport that I've watched of recent, I felt dirty watching it. I felt uncomfortable. I've not looked at anybody on that field or whatever point of play they're in that going, you don't give a monkeys now. You really don't. And it happened in boxing, do you know, like the heavyweight division, when that become thriving for the first time in a long time, and you could see it happen, unfold on a micro level in a person. So Andy Ruiz, again, very unexpected, knocks out Joshua, goes mad on money like the Lord of the Rings, and then gets really fat, has another fight, and it's just the most drivel fight I've ever seen in my life. And it shows the passion was there when he's on his way up, not much money at all, wins a massive fight, heavyweight champion of the world, all the money you can imagine. Oh, look what happens, it goes to shit.
They say that though, because with boxing, if the whole goal is to win the title, once they've won the title, it's like, well, they've got nothing left to play for now. I mean, the very, very best are the ones that have defended it multiple times.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't now.
A lot of people just believe the hype, don't they?
Yeah.
Believe the hype, get the money, nice one. It's been made.
And it happened to Josh. It definitely happened to Joshua himself.
Yeah.
Because like, he won the title and thought, I'm invincible now. Look, he was kind of looking past Ruiz. He was waiting for the big fight with either Wilder or Fury. But
I think I'm going to try and get into a new sport. Have you guys been watching anything?
F1, to be fair.
F1.
I've got into. I mean, talking about money in sport, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, that is the most rich.
I was just looking over at you then, like, check.
I've started watching F1 recently, and I've randomly got into it. I used to hate it, and I don't have a good attention span, but for some reason, I just get high and watch cars going around, go really fast. It's quite exciting.
There's a lot of skill involved in that, isn't there?
Yeah. So no, I've got into that.
No, I want one with less money. If you know anything.
Bowls.
But I've thought bowls.
I watched them. Have you watched that League of
bowls.
Their Own? You know, League of Their Own on Sky One or whatever it is with Freddie Flintoff, Jamie Redknapp.
Oh yeah.
And they're doing the thing at the moment. Their League of Their Own Loch Ness to Scotland, down to London or whatever, and they were playing Crown Green Bowls on that the other day, and I got quite into.
Are they any good at it?
Well, they were doing it as like a task, like a challenge kind of thing. But Jamie Redknapp said he used to play when he was playing for Liverpool. They used to go down to the pub and they all did Crown Green Bowls. Like he had his own ball and things like that. But then Freddie Flintoff beat him.
I was going to say Flintoff would beat him.
Flintoff and Jack Whitehall beat him.
Handy.
He's doing it obviously underarm, but yeah.
It's a good sport, that is.
Yeah, but that'd be a good one. Yeah, my brother used to play. Could get. I remember good at it.
There can't be millions of pounds into that, can they? No. Sat in the jacuzzis with prosecco.
They're all on pensions.
Any sports, Josh? I
was going to suggest every now and then I have watched a few like Indian Premier League cricket games, but that's money being inflated into cricket rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I see.
I don't know if you ever watched it, but they've got cheerleaders and all sorts of stuff. It's crazy.
I like 2020. Is it 2020?
It's 2020. But what they've done is, because it is India's national sport.
Yeah.
A load of companies, I think Pepsi are one of them, but they've injected loads and loads of money into it, and now all the best players from all over the rest of the world all go and play in India. But the way that cricket contracts work is they can play. It's all different seasons, isn't it? So the India season will be different to the England one. So they can play. They could play for county, like Essex, for a bit.
Okay.
And then when that season finishes, they can go and play for an Indian team, and then they can go and play for an Australian team in the winter.
Dude,
so that's kind of
got to start making ethical choices with what I'm watching. I have.
But because of that, though, because the clubs aren't tying them down, they're just buying them on a few game contracts.
Yeah.
Is that not a more free and better way for the players to be than being tied down like a football club?
Yeah, to direct contracts.
Yeah.
I mean,
but then you could argue then all the players will just go and chase the biggest money.
Yeah. And then you could argue for the draft system like they got in America and that.
I like that. I quite like the idea of that.
But have you seen the American Football League? Not soccer, football, American football in the college campuses and so on.
The college ones.
None of them are paid at all.
They're huge stadiums.
They have a million, like thousands and thousands come to watch it, but none of the players are paid. Yeah. Again, because America have it right in some aspects, but then others you just go, that is exploitation at its finest, right?
They've got a history for that, haven't they, in America? To be fair. Right.
Okay, so conclude it. Is sport fucked?
Yes.
Yes.
There are a few ways they can make it better.
How can we make it better, Josh? Go back through it. Conclude.
I reckon.
Remind us.
If we're on about football, I reckon wage cap.
Yeah.
Could be a good one. The shareholder rule, where the majority, the fans have the final say.
Yeah.
That could do it. And what was there one more?
Well,
remove technology.
Remove technology to give us some heart back.
First go-to.
Leave us with goal line. Fuck everything else.
Pay everyone £300 a week.
Put them on minimum wage.
Honestly, I'd love to start watching that, but the elites are the elites. Because when you do start going down a few leagues, it is knock it and hope for the best sometimes.
A lot of it, isn't it?
So some of it's very decent, and there's a bit of technicality and 1-2s, but there is always that big ball go over.
I watched some highlights of an MLS game the other day. I think it was Montreal versus someone, and I was thinking like, championship team should be beating these.
Yeah.
Like Forest did that, or even Forest in their.
I can never say anything about Forest with certainty.
But then also the Premier League, how tactical it's become. It's more of a game of chess.
Yeah.
Do you know they can't not work it from the box now? You have to pass from goalie to right back.
They
and you just go.
do this.
Even if they stood right on his tail, He's got to have it, and he's got to be expected to do something perfect with it.
See, Newcastle balls it up yesterday.
Yeah.
Multiple times, and we didn't capitalise. Yeah, stop talking about that.
But it does seem funny, this defiance of, because it must have been Man City that pioneered that. They were doing really well when they won the league a few years ago, but they'd always play it from the back.
Yeah, well, Guardiola backside played, didn't it, really?
Everyone just seemed to start doing that in the Premier League
but
now.
Since they brought that rule in where players
play it in the box.
come into the box from a goal kick, that's what started it.
Okay, well, guys, thank you for being a part of Series of Theories podcast. Let us know what you think. Is sports fucked? Let us know in the comments. I believe it is. I'm getting into bowls. That's what I'm doing. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now. See you later, guys.